Guess what, y'all? This is your next episode for the Apology Podcast with Lisa Sunshine. And I have one of my very, 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 very dear friends with me today, Jasmine Coicou. If you know Jazz, you absolutely adore her. And if you don't, you're crazy. No, I'm serious. But anyway, so I have Jazz here today because, for one, Jasmine, like me, is a mental health, mental wellness, mental sharpness guru, coach, advocate, all the things. And so today, Jazz is going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then we're going to jump right into it. So welcome to the show, Jazz.
Thank you, Miss Lisa.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy to be here. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Doing amazing things.
Triple time in how I feel about you.
Oh,
You know it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So
Love
tell
you
me,
too.
tell them a little bit about who Jasmine is.
So my name is Jasmine Coicou. I am right here, Lakeland, Florida. I am a Kathleen High School grad. Left high school, went over to FAMU in Tallahassee. I got my bachelor's and master's degree in occupational therapy, and now I live in the Orlando area. I am an occupational therapist with Orange County Public Schools, and I also do some outpatient work as well. I'm a mom and wife. My husband and I have been married for almost 13 years.
Girl, stop.
13 years. And we have 3 daughters. Avery's 10, Ella's 5, and Jordan is about to be 3. She's a July 4th baby. So we have a big birthday coming up.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I love talking about mental health, not only because it's something that's so important, but because I've lived it. And honestly, I never thought that I would be a person that would talk about this topic
That's right.
from experience.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's just something that I'm passionate about. It's not something that I have to like completely prepare for
That's
because
right.
it's a part
That's
of
right.
who I am.
Yes.
And I've had to like really fight through it.
Yes.
So I'm just super excited to be here.
Listen, your fight at first was definitely more quiet
Mm-hmm.
because when we start the healing process, one of the things we have to make sure and do is get beyond the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And so it's crazy when you think about healing and the imposter syndrome.
Right.
Like, what in the world? Like, why is that even a thing? But it is.
Mm-hmm.
In this world we live in, mental health, mental wellness, speaking about it, having issues that you must deal with.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to do is first get out of what we have already learned. We
Right.
have to unlearn, keep it quiet, don't speak about it, don't
Yep.
tell anybody,
Mm-hmm.
Suffer in silence. You'll get a trophy,
Yep.
which is a lie.
A big one.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we're not getting trophies, but we are going to get peace.
Right. And that's the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
And so tell me, of course, I watched it
Mm-hmm.
at least for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And I applaud your bravery
Thank you.
and your courageous journey throughout, because there were days where I would be in my prayer time and you would pop up in my soul and I'm clicking,
Yep.
I'm texting.
Yes.
I don't hear anything back. I'm going to your mama.
Listen, you need people that'll go to your people when something is not like,
I'm
okay,
going
something's off.
to Miss K, okay, and I'm
Yeah.
finding out, whoa, what
Mhm.
she's been too quiet, what's happening,
Yes.
what's going on.
Mhm.
So when we speak about mental health and mental wellness,
Mhm.
what does it feel like to not be well?
That's a really good question. When I think about not feeling well, I think of a lack of peace, a lack of joy,
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm, stuck.
That was a good girl.
I could keep going.
Keep going.
Um,
You helping the people.
I think about shame.
Yeah.
I think about being, I don't want to say disqualified, but not equipped.
Honey
I
Clip,
yeah,
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 yeah, all those.
yeah.
All those. And so when you got to a point where you were saying, okay, she's come for me, my husband's looking at me like, this ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
And David has a very, very, very powerful position.
Yes, he does.
So he's gone a lot. You have, well, this started during the second pregnancy where it was
Correct.
really, really overwhelming.
Right.
And so journeying from that and him saying, babe, you okay? And you saying like normal, I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be all right.
Yep.
And then you're not.
Until I wasn't.
Exactly.
And it was no more hiding it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So walk us through that.
Yeah, so I feel like there was this time where I was told to do something that I did not want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord just was very clear about it. I was in Africa, and it was a time where I didn't have any internet. I was around people that I knew, but it wasn't like my family or close friends.
Right.
And I was just in a very vulnerable place.
Yeah.
And the Lord told me to do something, and I did not want to do it. It was very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so being that I didn't do that, I feel like the Lord was like, okay, you don't want to listen? So I'm going to shift. I'm going to shake some things up to where you have to get aligned with where I'm trying to get you to go.
Yes.
And that meant breaking down all of these, how do I want to explain it? Breaking down all of these walls these fake walls of like people pleasing, and it was an overwhelming feeling of heaviness.
Yes. Okay.
And I remember coming home one day. I was pregnant, about 2 or 3 months pregnant with Ella. And David and I had gone to pick up Avery from school, and I didn't want to come in the house. At that time, I was working my business. Right. Completely burnt out.
Yes.
And didn't want to come in the house. And David was like, what's wrong with you? Like, why you don't want to come in the house?
Yes.
This is your place of peace. Yeah. But I was working from home, and it had become a place that I really didn't want to.
Yeah, overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was complete. I wanted to detach from my own place of peace because I had just overworked myself.
I totally identify with that.
Yeah.
I totally identify with that from a different perspective, but the same. I used to work and work and work and work and go and go and go and go.
Yeah.
Because home was not synonymous with peace.
Right.
And so from a little girl, it was community stuff. It was cheerleading. It was, being in the choir. Yep. It was being a junior usher in the, at church. Whatever I could do to not be at home.
That's what you did.
And that coping mechanism, that survival thing that I needed as a kid, as a teenager, I did not need it anymore. So I had to unlearn that, but also understand the power of peace.
Right.
And the lack thereof. So how did you guys get through that ordeal?
Well, I remember going into the house finally, and I just sat in the corner in my bedroom and I just cried. And that was the first time where I felt like this release.
Yeah.
And I just felt like this weight was lifted. I wasn't trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is what it's going to be. Lord, I am completely surrendering this season to you. Whatever it is that you want me to do, that's what I'm going to do it, because my way just is not working.
That's right.
And so then after that, it didn't turn around like that.
Sure.
We had to go to therapy. I remember sitting in my bed one day, and I couldn't even talk to the receptionist that was trying to get me an appointment scheduled. And David grabbed the phone and answered all the questions for me.
Yes.
They couldn't see me for like a few days. So he took me, he was like, we're going to see your OBGYN.
Yes.
Like, someone needs to help you.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I saw someone other than my husband was my OB,
Yes.
and she gave me the biggest hug. And she
Yes.
said, "You're going to be okay, but
Mhm.
this is just a tough season and you need some help."
Right.
And so that started the journey of opening up to my family, because depression is just not something that's talked about in
That's
my
right.
family.
That's right.
It's honestly, I had never seen it with anybody in my family. So it was a level of ignorance there, but it wasn't intentional.
Sure,
It's
sure.
just that we never have dealt with this before. So
Right.
how do we help?
Or you probably saw it differently.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Because every depression is not sadness.
Exactly.
Every depression is not, overwhelm. I'll sit in a corner.
Yep.
Every depression does not show itself like that.
Exactly.
So you probably saw it, but it wasn't identified.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, we just gathered together. I remember Leslie, my sister, I always say she's my angel on earth.
Yes.
She got with David, and
Yeah.
they really worked together. Leslie also deals with anxiety. So we kind of have that connection, and we're really, really close.
Yes.
We literally walk through life
Yeah,
together.
she's your big sister, but y'all can be twins sometimes.
Yes. But she really understood
Mhm.
what I needed, and it came from a non-judgmental place. Like I could
She was
truly
your safe
feel that
space.
she wanted to just help. So I remember her setting up a Zoom with my parents and talking to David and calling my friends and saying, "Hey, this is what she needs." And everybody that she talked to, I mean, the people that truly love me,
Yes.
like they jumped in. It's like they just needed to know how.
Right. Yes.
And so that's kind of how we moved through it. Started therapy. I started medication at the time.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
was very heightened with the hormones of my pregnancy.
Okay.
I feel like after the pregnancy, I did see some things settle down a little bit.
Okay.
However, I do know that did not help. Like the pregnancy did not help. I feel like what I went through, it was a big transition.
Yes.
And I did not have the skills or the coping strategies to get through that.
Right.
Or the discipline to get through it.
Yes.
So that's kind of what it looked like for a while. And it was like weekly therapy appointments, like every single week.
Yes.
It was David pulling me out of the bed.
That's
like
right.
Today, you got to get up and take a shower.
Right.
Today, you got to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Avery, I remember one last thing I'll share with you is Avery, David picked up Avery from school one day, and he said he left her in the car because he didn't know what he was going to walk into in the house. He thought that I was suicidal. And when he told me that, I realized the amount of pressure and the amount of, I don't want to call it a burden, but it really truly is kind of a burden that it places on your whole family. Yeah. And so when we sit around and we don't face the truth of what we're dealing with,
the burden
it impacts so many people around us.
The unspoken burden, I believe sometimes we're born into that.
Yeah.
We're born into a quiet depression, a quiet unknowing. Mm-hmm. And instead of someone speaking up and saying, this isn't right, this is not joy, this is not peace.
Yeah.
What in the world can we do to get to that?
Right.
And so that's why I mentioned earlier, Jazz, why I see you as so brave and so courageous. But the other major piece to this is David. Mm-hmm. Having a husband, not just in the medical field, but someone who is literally saying, I love you enough to not allow this to continue.
Right.
And I love you enough to get on the phone with Leslie. Mm-hmm. I love you enough to get you, a same day appointment with your OBGYN, somebody.
Yes.
And so thank God for David's in the world.
Yes.
Because as a husband, what do we do except respond to that?
Yeah. And he's a natural, being that he is a man and he is a nurse, mm-hmm. he's a fixer.
Yes.
And so he immediately went to, all right, how can I fix her?
Right.
Like, I need to, what can I do?
Yes.
And so he went to therapy with me.
Yes.
And my therapist helped him to realize that sometimes it's not a matter of fixing.
Yeah.
It's just being there.
Yes.
It's just listening.
Yes.
And that really, really, so he was in it.
Right.
I mean, he learned so much.
Yeah.
And now, there have been times where I'm struggling a little bit, and I can just tell him like, hey, I'm really feeling a little bit off, and he's right there. He's like, okay, what do you need from me?
Yeah.
How can I help?
Yes.
And he really is amazing.
Right.
Emotionally, I always think about the emotional intelligence piece, and he's worked very hard.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's another episode.
Yes.
But we are grateful.
Yes.
Oh boy, are we grateful for especially the men who are emotionally intelligent enough to say, this is a part of my work, but it is not my work.
Yes.
And what I'll say to that is the people who love us can only show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All they need to do is show up. Because, and you let me know if I'm wrong, you cannot love a person, you cannot give to a person, you cannot, provide for them or what have you. They must do the work as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't love them enough. You can't give enough. It does not matter. If you would have said, I'm not interested. If you would have said, I'll go, but I'm not going to speak.
Yep.
He can take you there. He can get on the phone, answer all the questions for intake, call the OBGYN, whatever, make the appointment.
Right.
But if you go and you're not open to even speaking for yourself.
Right.
Okay. So when did you give yourself permission to heal?
Well, I remember something I'll never forget. When I went to therapy for the first time, the first question, her name is Victoria. Victoria said, do you believe that you'll get better? And I was like, what? Like, that's the first thing you're going to ask me? But I was like, yeah, I do believe I'm going to get better. And I mean immediate.
Yes.
It was like an immediate shift for me. And I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Let's go.
And yeah, it was just like this moment that was very transformational for me.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Yes. Let's go back. Of course, my book, my journey, my coaching and sharing, I share a lot about the power of childhood.
Yes.
And for some, no issues, no biggies. But for others, it was tumultuous and it was problematic and it was painful.
Yeah.
And so when you have these coping mechanisms, when you have these survival techniques that you start learning at a very early age, you can chronologically age, you can get degrees. But if it has not been spoken, if what disappointment broke your heart as a child has not been spoken about, if what pain points that happened as a child has not been spoken of or talked about, or you've not seen a therapist or what have you, those things are kept in here and they recycle with every birthday.
Right. For real.
With every birthday, with every address.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Speak to that.
I think that for me, and I'm sure you can understand this 100%, I come from a blended family.
Yes.
And blended families are just a gift, but they can also be really, really hard.
Yes.
My parents, they divorced when I was a baby.
Yes, same here.
And so I call Gal my dad.
Absolutely.
I have two dads.
Yes.
But I'll say stepdad so you'll understand who I'm speaking
bonus,
about.
Yeah,
bonus. So my bonus dad, Gal, when he came around, I was like 6 or 7. And my parents got married not too long after that. And so, but my dad was always in my life.
Yes.
Always in my life. So, and then the other piece to all of this is having parents who are really big in the community.
Yes.
And by big, I mean involved in the community.
Yes.
And so that came along with a lot
Yes.
of weight.
Yes.
I remember just feeling like when I leave the house, I'm not just representing myself.
Yes.
I'm representing, a lot of pressure. But I was thinking about this on the way here this morning. You know, my mom is from a little small town in Mississippi.
She tells her story.
Yes. Her mother
Don't tell her
died.
story because she's coming later.
Yes, I won't. But just for context,
Yes.
her mother died when she was 12.
Yes.
And she was raised with his 6 siblings, and her dad was a pastor. And they didn't have pretty much anything.
Right.
They lived a very frugal life. My mom went on to college. I mean, literally on her diploma, it says like the City of Macomb Negro diploma or something like that. So it wasn't that long ago that things were really, really bad, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think growing up, my mom had this, she worked so hard to create a better life for us.
Right.
And I think that there was a lot of pressure around that. And we all, and this is, you know, I think that my parents did the best that they knew to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And they are great parents. And
Yes.
I always say one day my girls are going to go to therapy for something that I didn't get right.
Absolutely.
Because nobody is
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yes.
And as generations change
Yes.
and we go through things, we learn. But I do think that pressure that I had as a kid definitely showed up in many different ways.
For sure.
And even with the blended family piece, you know, when I would be places where all of my parents are in one place.
Yes.
I'm the child that's like, oh, well, who do I sit with?
That's right.
You know?
Yes.
And then carrying, oh, I don't want this person to be upset with me because,
yes.
And so these type of characteristics were really deeply ingrained in who I was and
that
how I showed up. That
right
people
there.
pleasing.
The anxiety.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Yes.
And so when I went to therapy and I started doing this work, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Like I was so unaware.
Yes.
Of,
yes.
Like I just really, and then sometimes I felt like I just couldn't be myself.
That's right.
Because I was just so concerned about what other people would think or how it would be perceived.
Right.
And so it goes, man, this stuff is deep.
It is. It is.
And it's hard.
And it's fixable.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It's not that it's broken, but we need to elevate our understanding.
Yeah.
We need to get somewhere to say and say, this isn't working.
Yeah.
I don't feel good with this experience.
Right.
So what else can we come up with that can help? Because this makes me sick.
Right.
But when you aren't showing up with a fever,
you think you're good.
If you're not showing up, you know, with a tummy ache or a headache, or that comes in later and they can't find anything wrong, they totally skip over our mental health.
Yes.
Totally skip over the power of parents who are doing their best with what they have,
right?
But it is not enough for the children they're raising.
Right.
And when you have those dynamics happening and you're able to finally say, ooh, whoa, wait a minute. This has been with me all along.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world did I not know?
Right.
Which is why the Apology podcast and the Apology gift is happening right now. Because if we can share strategies and tidbits of information to make parenting easier, to make the quiet depression vocal, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think about Avery as the oldest.
Yeah.
Just because we don't speak a thing, parents, just because you don't speak it does not mean your children don't feel it.
Right.
They feel it. They just can't articulate it. And so that's how anxiety comes in. That's how people pleasing comes in. Yeah. But, you know, you have children, you know, tiptoeing around trying to figure out how to feel.
Oh, yeah.
And how to be.
Yes.
Is this okay?
Trying to read moods.
Yes. And that's not okay. Yeah. It is not okay for children to figure out how to be adults. Yeah. Children are not little adults. They've never been here. And so as the parent, it's our responsibility to say, wait a minute, whoa, 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 pump your brakes.
Right.
Okay, I understand this has happened in other generations, but I got to be the one.
To put a stop to it.
And
Yeah.
at first, that pressure can really get to you until you start saying, I get to be the one.
Mm-hmm. Grab
I
that
get
power back.
to be the brave and courageous one.
Absolutely.
I get to be the change agent to make sure that this level of being is okay.
Right.
It's good. It won't be perfect, but it is my responsibility to create greater works
Mm-hmm.
with my life. So when we talk about strategies, what has helped you as you have gotten over the proverbial hump? Because we can see it coming.
Yes.
Now we can call it
Mm-hmm.
and we can say, oh, change that appointment. Oh,
yes.
no, I'm not at that time.
Right.
I'm my best self at this particular time. This time of day, I'm whining. Oh, I'm not going to their house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going on that trip.
Keep it real.
You know?
Yes, ma'am.
And oh, did she just text me? I'll get back to that later. I need to make sure my mind is right.
Yes.
I need to make sure my mind is right because right now I'm stressed. We got history. So let me put a pause on that.
Yeah.
And make sure I'm in the right headspace so I can respond with honor first to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't give what you don't already own.
Right.
So as you talk about the recovery, ownership,
yes.
giving yourself permission to heal, because those apologies and things like that, they may come, they may not.
Right. Yep, they may not.
And with it, and if they don't, then what?
Right.
How you gonna live with the life you've been given now that you are aware you must do things differently? And that adjustment period may be a little tough with the previous generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're looking like, wait a minute, I listen, you ain't going through nothing. I can take you back. I can show you a little something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll say this because I want you to respond regarding the strategies.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to a place where we believe we're giving our children what we did not have, we are wrong as three left shoes.
Mm.
Because giving our children what we did not have only parents the little child in us.
Yeah, that's good.
It does not in many ways help the present age, because there's a calling on their life.
Right.
That is totally different sometimes than the calling on ours.
Mm-hmm.
So what we needed as children, it didn't happen. So we have to parent the child in us that was not parented well.
Right.
And then from there, we get to be whole and we get to think, oh my goodness, you know what? Let me look into my son.
Right.
Let me look into his eyes and let me say, you know what? I was so wrong. I was so out of pocket. But I'm going to see into you, because that's intimacy.
Right.
I'm going to see into you now.
Yep.
And so what is it that you need? How can I help? And yeah, you're all over the place and I'm going to tag your tail for that. But
yes,
I am going to give you a voice to speak.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to see a therapist, I'm going to be the first to look into our EAP program.
Exactly.
And book that appointment.
Yep.
And not feel as if you are gross, you're disgusting, you're troubled, you are a problem that can't be helped.
Right.
You know, you're a question that can't be answered.
Yeah.
Just because it's foreign doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
It just means we need to learn more.
Yes.
So when we talk about strategies, one of the first strategies that I had to come up with is understanding what I needed as a child. There are things my children still needed. Integrity, character, honesty, faith, you know, resilience, things of that nature, dependability, things of that nature. But when I learned that I was neurodivergent and the ADHD thing was OMG, I said, wait, hold on. Oh, this answers so many questions.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Literally filling out the assessment form for my son is how I'm literally going.
Wait a minute.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. So I literally take a picture of the assessment form and call my doctor's office. And I asked the nurse, could this be a real thing?
Yes, it can.
And she said, absolutely. Let me make your appointment, see the doctor. I go in and he was like, oh yeah, girl. Yeah.
Clear as day.
Yeah. So how you going to live? What you want to do with this?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. He said, well, there's this thing called, and it's going to turn down those receptors that have your brain on overactive, moving 12 million miles a minute.
Yes.
It'll bring it down to 1 million. It ain't going to go away.
But it'll help.
But it's going to help.
Yeah.
And so the medication piece was so strategic in our family as as we moved around ADHD, neurodivergence, what that looks like. And it was one of the most powerful awakenings for us, and then moving from there. And so your strategies, how have you done well?
I just want to say a couple things about what you just shared before I go into strategies. The first thing is I was recently diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
Back in formally diagnosed in January. But I had spoken to my previous psychiatrist about it, and she was like, yeah, it sounds like it. Let's do this, let's do this. But I wanted I wanted to do some very detailed testing.
Absolutely.
And I did.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
But I knew it, Miss Lisa, all along.
Yes.
I remember being at Rochelle. I was at Rochelle from kindergarten to 8th grade. I remember making all A's in school, but could not do well on any reading tests. Was in a remedial reading course. And I, even still to this day, when I'm reading things, I have to read it over and over again.
Yes.
For it to.
For sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be any noise around.
Oh,
if
yes.
you're talking or no music, it can't be anything going on. Just little things like that. And I feel like as a mom, because of all of the things, all the hats that we're wearing, right?
Yes.
And as a wife and working and all these things, it's like, is it just that I have too much going on, or is it really something else?
Right.
And I came to the conclusion that I wanted to seek that, not because it needs to be a part of my identity,
right?
But how do I function in my best? Because I get overwhelmed with my thoughts. I'm like, my brain, I feel like I'm sleeping, but my brain isn't stopping.
That's right.
So I'm tired all the time. What does this look like? And so, a lot of mental fatigue, but that has been transformational for me too. And just getting that clarity and then say, okay, now we have this information. How are we going to use that to really kind of make things work?
Yes.
With all the things that we have going on.
And we kind of say, we don't want it to be a part of our identity, but it is a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
And I celebrate that.
Yes.
Because I am the most sunshiniest sunshine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I used to shy away from that because people would say, oh, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so extra.
Yeah.
You got to do all of that. And they would put shame on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they would back up from me, like I was overwhelming them or I was too much for them.
Yeah.
And it made me feel bad because I was trying to figure out, well, if this is who I am, then okay, I guess we can't be close.
Right.
Because obviously I overwhelm you.
Yeah.
Maybe you are ADHD too.
Right.
Undiagnosed. Right.
Right.
And so I'm gonna let you have that. But that diagnosis was so powerful in me being able to say, girl, love you for who you are.
Right.
Your people will be magnetized by you. They will come.
Yep.
And you will repel the people who are not for you.
Right.
And it's not a bent against them or you.
Yeah.
They're just not your people.
Right.
And so, but when that happens and it's your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
and you start making some pivots here and there,
Yeah.
people are like, well, you been doing this. Oh, you brand new now.
Right.
You're acting different. Because I am.
Yeah.
I'm accepting all of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making some changes,
Yeah.
but acceptance for who I am
Acceptance.
completely and
Mm-hmm.
1000%. I'm so good with me.
Yes.
And it took me a long, long, long time to get here.
Yes.
But here I am now.
Yeah.
And so where do we go from here when we talk about strategies?
Yes.
And we talk about not self-help, but my help.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And one more quick thing that I
Yes.
have to say,
Please.
and this goes along with strategies, are boundaries.
Oh, yes.
Boundaries,
Yes.
It was like this hot topic, hot word, buzzword, but it's really, really important.
Yes, it is.
It really is. So when you think about relationships,
Yes.
I'm so grateful for my tribe, because even like you say, if you text me and I don't respond, you're not like, oh, well, why is Jazz acting like that? Or, sometimes we can internalize, especially if we deal with that people pleasing thing, like, well, what did I do? Did I offend them? Did I do this?
Yes.
So I'm very thankful for the people that gave me grace during that season.
Because they know you.
They know me.
They know you.
Yes.
And they would never even receive
exactly
any type of ought.
Yes.
Or that thought. It doesn't even come to mind.
Yeah.
Let me give her some time.
Yeah.
I know she's got me. She'll respond when she's ready.
Yes.
No pressure or anything like that. So,
but that's a level of emotional intelligence that many of us don't have.
That's right.
And so I did have a few relationships that were very offended that I did not, but it was because I was always available, always available to everyone. So when
red
chose,
flag.
Big red flag. So when I chose me for a change and worked on my healing and did what I needed to do, I had to release all of that extra, because I can't feel bad about not being there for everybody else. And that was one thing that the therapist really, really like hounded me on. Like, you almost think that you're other people's God. You're not their God. If they need something, they can find somebody else to do it, or they can go and pray about it or whatever.
And that little God thing, baby, let me tell you, it's not little.
No.
It will overtake your entire world.
Absolutely.
And wear you out to shreds.
Yes.
You will be so much of a shell of your intended self.
Yeah.
Your purposed self. Because we're in a lane where we're still in survival mode.
Right.
Instead of thrive. Having that mode to thrive, we can't do that until we are self-aware.
Exactly.
What's really going on? What's really happening? How did I get here?
Right.
And what are the strategies I need to get the heck up out of here?
Yes.
And when I started my therapy at 30 years old, and sitting down with the therapist for the first time ever on my 30th birthday, I'm literally shaking in my boots, even turning off my car to go inside, because I was taught, shut your mouth.
Yep.
Keep your mouth shut. Okay. That's family business. And in those moments, I'm going, oh my goodness, I'm literally getting ready to go and talk to a stranger. But I was taught from the time I could remember, you keep this silent. But I got to a point where the silence was killing me.
Yes.
And people were watching.
Yes.
And okay with it.
Yeah. Yep.
And so when I sat in that therapist's office and he said to me, today you get to decide how you're gonna live from here, Lisa.
Ooh. Don't you just love those mic drop moments?
Today you get to decide, Lisa, how you're gonna live from here. Those cluster migraines and those panic attacks that they can't find a reason for it.
Yeah.
And the first thing he asked me was, tell me about your childhood.
Say what now?
It took me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
To literally get up off that floor, because that was the first time in my life that anyone had ever asked me precisely, if they can't find anything or a reason for all this happening. In other words, you're in the right place now.
Right. Let's go.
Tell me about your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And after I got off that floor and used half a box of his Kleenex, listen, I breathed and exhale.
Yeah.
It felt like I had been holding my breath for 26 years.
Yeah. I love that for you. Oh, yes,
Honey.
ma'am.
Okay. And so when we start looking at ourselves and we start going, this is good, I'm aware. Now I have healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
This medication is good, because if I were diagnosed with diabetes and I needed to take insulin, if I had a thyroid situation, I would need to take medicine.
Yeah.
If I, had some type of blood disorder and needed to take medicine or vitamins or supplements or what have you, no one would have an issue. But how is it that when it's time to take care of our mind,
Yeah.
people have a problem? Because renewing of our mind is biblical.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word.
Yep.
And so when we can renew our mind, ain't nothing we can't accomplish.
Yeah.
We can, at that point, do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right?
Yep.
But the reason why religion does not work, and it's about relationship, is because you cannot tell me you are deep in the faith when you are still triggered as a pastor, as a minister, as a leader, as a teacher, as an attorney, as a doctor. You're still being triggered by things that happened to you when you were 5 and 10 and 20 years old.
Yeah.
You're still being triggered. And that's a problem.
Right. You got to deal with it.
Because this isn't about religion. It's not about you going to church or reading a scripture or quoting that scripture. It's about your mind being renewed with truth.
Right.
With peace, with healing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read all day. You can listen to the worship all day.
Yep.
You can go to church and stand in line for prayer year after year after year and never be changed.
Right.
I've lived that life.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And then we come to a conclusion where we say, I am more focused now than I've ever been on what brings me joy. And you know what didn't bring me joy? Remembering the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that recycling of stuff that kept coming up on me, that's why I finally made the decision to go into therapy.
Right.
Because I said, somebody's going to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, first visit.
Yep.
Now, did it take me probably another decade to fully walk in that?
Oh, it takes a while.
It took me that long because all my life I was still hearing in my head, you do what I tell you to do. You go where I tell you to go. You don't open your mouth unless I tell you to open your mouth. You don't talk about it unless I tell you to talk about it. Right?
Yeah.
And so my decision that day was, I'm not telling family business. I'm telling my business.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
And if you wanted me to tell something different, you should have treated me differently.
Right. Yeah. This is my story.
This is my story.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted a different something said about from me, so we have to be careful about religion. We have to be careful to put that thing to sleep.
Yes.
Put it to sleep, make it go away, because there is nothing good coming from religion except nothing. I was getting ready to say.
I know what you was about to say.
Okay. And so what we're not going to do is pretend as if people don't lean more on religion than they do their relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
And so that relationship says, it's my birthright to heal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need permission from him. I don't need her acknowledgement.
Yep.
I don't need them to come for me, even though I held in that posture for many, many years, waiting for that apology, waiting for the acknowledgement. And when I realized their capacity is going to be totally different than mine, and the only work I can command is mine,
That's it.
then there's a place for grace.
Yes.
Because their capacity came to being because of how they were raised.
Right.
With or without, what they had, what they didn't have. And so the rest is between me and God.
Right.
The rest is between me and him.
Yep.
And that way, the pressure does not come from another mere mortal just like me.
Mm-hmm.
Because a mere mortal will mess up. There will be disappointments.
Absolutely.
There will be disagreements. And so when we lean on our faith and we get into the word,
mm-hmm.
and we say, hold up, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Does the word truly say whom the Son sets free is free indeed? And one of the tenets of the class that I teach is we replace in that scripture, we replace the person's names.
Yeah, I love that.
And it comes at that point to real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know any better, but now I do.
Yeah.
So, ooh.
I am free.
I am free.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't free me because they're not free.
Right. Yep.
And if their capacity becomes my business, I'm always worn out because I'm doing too much. I'm trying to people please them, accommodate them, when if they were healed, accommodation wouldn't be needed.
Right.
People pleasing wouldn't even be needed.
Yep.
They would literally say, Jazzy, you don't need to do that.
Right.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
We good.
Yep.
We good. You don't have to do that.
Yep.
But if you have people in your life who are saying, you done changed, things have changed, that means your healing, your peace is a problem for them.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they may have to exit stage left.
I was going to say that's where it becomes, that's not your burden to carry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember and I'm going to talk about strategies.
Yes.
I remember going into therapy. So therapy, huge game changer for me.
Yes, absolutely.
Game changer. And then also bringing David with me.
Yes.
That was a really big game changer as well. But I remember going into therapy and just being able to release every single time I went in there. It was like little by little by little.
Yes.
It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. But just taking, even on days when I didn't feel like going, still getting up and going.
Yes.
So the therapy, medication, I always tell people, especially in the faith community, it's a big thing, like you said.
For sure.
But with medication, I feel like once I was able to level out some of my hormones, then I was able to do the work.
That's so good.
So I was so bogged down to where I couldn't, like, to even open up the word. I felt like I couldn't do it.
Absolutely. Because we had been doing it wrong for so long.
Exactly.
And it wasn't the help.
Exactly.
That we needed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was just like, everything just felt like a huge marathon when it really wasn't. But I was just that sick.
Yes.
So the medication was just a really, really, really big factor. And then my community, especially now, like that things are better for me.
Yes.
My spiritual life is the key. It is absolutely the key.
For sure.
I have a Bible study group that the Holy Spirit completely put together. My sister and I, we co-lead it.
Yes.
And it's just a few ladies that we get together every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we just finished studying the book Elijah by Priscilla Shirer. And there was a part in there that talked about it's easy to complain. It's easy to get caught up in your emotions. The hard thing is to say, I'm going to pick up my word. I'm going to pray. I'm going to worship in the midst of this chaos around me. Like I feel so overwhelmed.
Yes.
The easy thing for me is to be like, I ain't dealing with that. I don't want to deal with it.
Just disassociation
I'm just
all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I realize what that does, that's not good for me. It's not
Right.
good for anybody.
Yes.
It's not good for anybody even connected to me.
Yes.
It's not
yes.
good for my family. It's not good, period.
Yes.
So when I make a choice to say, God,
Yes.
I need your help.
Yes.
I'm struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the spiritual realm, I mean, the spiritual piece is just, I was missing that early on. I was reading the Bible.
Yes.
As we said,
Yeah.
I was reading it.
Yeah.
But being transformed by it,
right.
No.
Right. Right.
So, those are the things that I would really, my strategies, faith, like truly, truly, truly faith.
And that comes with surrender.
Yes.
And so.
And unlearning.
Yes. The unlearning and the surrendering is not because of weakness.
Right.
It is literally you creating capacity for the goodness you really, really, really want. Your soul is screaming. Your spirit is screaming for peace. And so when you surrender, you're surrendering all the things that did not work.
Right.
When you're saying, God, I need your help, you're saying, I've done this way for so long, and I'm still in the same place.
Right. It's not working.
Does that make any sense at all? So do what your soul and your spirit are screaming for.
Right.
You want peace? Surrender what has not worked. Surrender your way, because again, we make ourselves little GODs, right?
Right.
Oh, I know, I'm good. I'm educated. I'm intelligent. I got these degrees. I do this thing for a living. I help these people or what have you. Listen, I coach therapists. You know why? Because we need other safe people.
Yes, we do.
And when you believe you're at the top of the food chain and you want to stay there, you've just decided you're quit learning. You've just quit learning. And so you always want to be teachable. Yes. That is one of my main strategies. Remain teachable in Absolutely. Every season of your life. You don't ever want to be the biggest shark in the ocean.
Right.
You just don't, because there is pressure that comes with that. And when you literally decide that I'm going to be the best one in the room, you've just decided that everybody's going to need to come to you. You're the answer to everybody's questions.
Yep.
You're going to solve the problems of the world. And that comes with pressure. If you put yourself there, please get into therapy.
Yeah.
If you believe that every time something is broken, you need to fix it, you need to be in therapy. You need to sit with a counselor. You need to call a coach, someone, so that they can help you understand you're not the end all be all of anybody's existence.
Right.
Because you have not even come close to taking care of your own self. So how in the world can we decide that we're going to have this egotistical mindset, ego, pride, all of those things? The foundation of it is pain. The foundation of it is disappointment. We become this strong individual, and we put these walls up, and they become boulders.
Yep.
We don't want to do that anymore. So the therapy, I call it talk therapy. I believe in music therapy. That's another one of my strategies. Live music for me is a game changer.
Yes.
Period.
It is.
I love live jazz. I sing. I love gospel. I love rock and roll. I love R&B. I love, I love music.
Me too.
And so one of my other strategies is just powerful, powerful music, making sure that there's something being said to me or saying to me, something coming in my ear gate that is healthy, that's invigorating, that's challenging, that's stimulating.
Yep.
My other one is saying no.
Oh, yeah. Period.
Full sentence.
No.
Complete sentence. No. And the other is don't take offense to anything.
Yes. Yep.
Don't be offended by anyone at any time.
You know, it's a really good book about offense
Mhm.
that I'm reading, The Bait of Satan.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you heard it. Get the book, get the Audible, something.
Yes.
The Bait of Satan is one of the most powerful books
Yes.
ever written. And if you don't even want to read it, get the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Grab the Cliff Notes and go with that. But listen to it via Audible or what have you. And so as we close up, if you were to tell Avery today, I want you to be the greatest you could possibly be. And by the time you leave here for college, I want you to feel so embraced, so loved, and so supported. Tell me, what would you say to her? How would you prepare her from now until, because you're a new mommy. Mm-hmm. You're a changed mommy.
Yeah.
The updated Jazz.
Yes.
The whole and peaceful Jazz.
Yes.
What would you say to her, knowing her personality, her character? She's the oldest. She's witnessed mommy go through some transformations.
Yes, she has.
You know, and so you see the mommy in her. You see the leader in her, and she's gifted. She's talented.
Yes.
And so, what would you say to Avery, knowing that she's going to be the first one, you know, to leave and go to college, or whatever she's going to do, you know?
I would just tell Avery something that I wish I would have heard more of, that I feel like she definitely could benefit from hearing, is that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
And mommy's going to be here no matter what.
Yes.
Like, no, you can't, there is nothing you can do to push me away.
Yes.
Like nothing. So that's what I would tell her. And I would just tell her to be herself. Like whatever she chooses to do, I'm going to be so proud of her. Whatever I want her to always know that she can come and talk to me about anything. We had the conversation lately about, you know, menstrual cycles.
Yes.
And it was so funny because she was like, what?
I know.
What are you talking about?
I'm aging.
Why are you being so weird?
Yes.
And so we have a really good relationship, but I do always want her to know that I always tell her we're growing up together.
Yes.
And I'm always going to be here.
Yes.
And I just, the love is just unconditional.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. And so many takeaways when we talk about unconditional. It's so good. That's another podcast. I've been studying this one particular piece that is so good when it comes to unconditional love, because we go into relationships with conditions.
Yes.
People divorce or go their separate ways or leave good jobs or leave school because those conditions were not met.
Yes. Yep.
And so if you stick it out and you hang in there, like with Free Life Chapel at church, we just came through Activate, the Faith and Leadership Institute. And my family had a very, very painful ordeal happen in late January.
Okay.
And we lost our daughter. Literally, her viewing was on her 31st birthday.
Wow.
And we are smack dab in the middle of this accelerated course. So I get back and I am so overwhelmed, I can hardly breathe. And Pastor Scott is teaching that night. And during the break, I literally have my hands up on my head, just, you know, like pacing.
Yeah.
And I said, I can pick this up later, Pastor. You know, just, I need to rest. If I could go home right now and sleep for the next 5 days, I would be good.
Yeah.
And he said, you have every reason to quit. But I'm just thinking, you'll be glad you didn't if you stay.
Yeah.
If you stick and stay, I believe you'll be glad that you did. We graduate tomorrow.
You and Mr. Tony both? Or just
No,
you?
just me.
You. Okay, yay, that's awesome.
And so when we talk about sticking and staying, when we talk about resilience, when we talk about learning how to do hard things well, not because we're people pleasing, but we're called to resilience. We're called to do the best you can with what you have. I did not do as well as I wanted to in the course, but the mental wellness pieces with the guest professor, Dr. Callahan, reawakened something in me that literally just rocked my world. And for that, I'm so glad I stayed the course.
Yes.
And I did not give up. So I'm just plumb happy glad that you have been here with me today.
Yes.
Sharing
Thank you so
your story
much for having
and your
me.
gems, and the transparency is so refreshing.
Thank you, Miss Lisa.
We need to have more conversations like this. My last and final question for you. David has been such a pivotal support for you.
He has.
What would you say to any man out there who is in this supportive role but don't know what to do?
You know, I have a lot of friends that will call me and say, you know, my husband, I think he's depressed. You know, what can I do? Or I've had some of my friends' husbands to reach out like, hey, you know, what can I do?
Yes.
And I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier. You cannot fix anybody.
Yes.
You can just be there to support them. Pray over them.
Yes.
Pray over them.
And get in therapy yourself so you can know how to support them.
And that's another thing. David went into therapy for
Yes.
himself.
Yes. Yes.
And that was huge.
Yes.
Because he's like, I never thought I would go to therapy. I'm like, me either. But here we are. And we're going to be such great people.
Yes.
Like before we are husband and wife, before we are parents,
yes.
like we get to work on who we are.
Yes.
So
yes.
Starting with self, looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Being willing to be in the trenches. Like
the
it ain't
trenches,
pretty.
Honey.
It ain't
We're
pretty.
down like 4 flats and a spare. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Because it's not pretty.
It's not pretty, honey.
But those vows
yes.
that we take.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that is really hard with my generation is that when things get hard, we want to just like bounce.
Escape.
Yes. But just stick it out. I think that support alone was just so pivotal.
Yes.
Knowing that you have somebody there with you
yes.
that's willing, that knows you and that sees you and wants better.
Yes.
Like it was just really, really, really transformational. So I would say stick with it. Encourage, love unconditionally.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because he had to. That's when he started cycling.
Yes, yes.
And he still does that to this day. He had
Relieve
to take care of himself.
Because it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
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 Yeah, so, that's so good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the world thanks David. I know I do.
Yes. So grateful. Thank you, David.
He is a quiet guy, but he's really not. He's
powerful. The life of the party.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. But yeah, so you guys, thanks for tuning in. You know, Jasmine has shared, I have shared, and I pray we have said something to encourage you, to inspire you to understand that there are times where it's absolutely okay to unlearn what you've known all your life and understand the impact that it's had. Because you can, the way our brains are wired and created, we can put that stuff to bed, never wake it back up, and learn things that are really, really good for us and make our life the most beautiful, most fulfilling life that we get to live. And so what a great honor. What a great honor that we get to recover. We get to start again. We get to hit the reset button without apology.
Yes.
And without a permission from anybody else. We get to decide. So I hope y'all have been blessed, because I sure have.
Me too.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.